Hi, I'm Zarina Matcha, and you are watching Non-Feminist Gal. Feminism is often credited with pioneering the sexual revolution, even though when they first started, the two movements had little in common. Like in my video on abortion, in this video I shall assert why feminism was not entirely responsible for the sexual liberation of Western women, and how feminism is not always as sex-positive as it could be. Before continuing, it should be noted that lipstick feminism, an offshoot of liberal feminism, which gained popularity in the 1990s, is generally very pro-sex and pro-prostitution. This is known as sex-positive feminism and was celebrated by women such as Helen Gurley Brown and Camille Paglia. However, radical feminism, which the feminist movement was founded on, generally lobbies against prostitution and strip clubs. The book Female Chauvinist Pigs by Ariel Levy is a radical feminist critique of pro-sex attitudes of feminism, claiming that these attitudes reinforce patriarchy and the male gaze. In the 1960s, the sexual revolution was underway, with the summer of love being a commonly discussed point in history. With the invention of the pill and more socially liberal attitudes towards sex, people began to embrace premarital sex, as well as experiment with same-sex partners, swinging with married couples, and sex parties. Yet this is not actually a new phenomena. Some anthropologists have asserted that prior to the agricultural revolution, men and women lived in egalitarian tribes where promiscuity and bisexuality was common. Marriage was invented as a way to control women's fertility by ensuring that humans did not run out of resources by having too many children. As modern society embraced secular values as opposed to Judeo-Christian values of chastity until marriage, relaxed attitudes around sex have once again developed. The feminist movement was initially not part of the sexual revolution. As I asserted in my abortion video, a man named Larry Ladder is the one who convinced the feminists Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem to lobby for legal abortions. Moreover, while feminism claims to be in favor of sexual liberation, it has failed massively in 3 areas. It has excluded women who prefer to be modest, don't like wearing sexy clothing, or don't want to have lots of casual sex. It chastises men for their natural sexual attractions towards women by labeling them as perverts or as sexually objectifying women. It simultaneously chastises and patronizes women who have freely chosen to work in industries that emphasize their beauty, such as prostitution, porn, stripping, restaurants, beauty pageants, or anything that lets them flaunt their sexuality, as sexist and oppressive and other tiresome terms. Pressuring women to engage in casual sex or wear little clothing is not liberating. It's liberating for a woman to choose whether she wants to have sex with multiple partners or with few partners or with no partners. Likewise, pressuring a woman to wait until she is married before having sex is not the right way either. Once again, it's liberating for a woman to make that choice for herself. Telling women that they are demeaning themselves and are victims of internalized misogyny when they choose to work in porn or be Hooters waitresses is authoritarian. How is that any better from telling women that they can't have an abortion? When men enjoy strippers or porn, they are misogynistic perverts who are sexually objectifying women. When men go to prostitutes, they are participating in a patriarchal society which demeans and hurts women. When men chat up or holler at women in the street, they are objectifying women. When rappers have sexy women in their videos, they're chauvinistic bigots, and so on. Yet feminism completely ignores the women who have chosen to be porn stars, prostitutes, wear sexy clothing, or feature in these types of music videos. When women choose to engage in jobs which allow them to freely express their beauty, glamour, and sexuality, feminists claim that those women are being objectified rather than acknowledging them as individuals with the freedom to choose their occupations in a capitalist democracy. Even Lara Croft, one of the most badass and intelligent female video game characters, was berated by feminists like Anita Sarkeesian due to being designed with a large bust and a small waist. Lara Croft's sexual appeal was part of the marketing towards young men, in the same way that romance novels featuring bare-chested sexy men are marketed towards women and gay men. Feminism lobbies against women being slut-shamed, which I agree with, as no woman deserves to be shamed for her personal sexual choices. However, why are there also not lobbies against women being virgin-shamed? Where's the feminist lobbying for women who choose to abstain from sex until marriage? As long as these women are not pushing their choices on others or viewing themselves in higher moral regard, then surely their behavior is fine. Why can't people just do what they want as long as they are not hurting anyone else? Moreover, when men holler and check out those same women who are wearing sexually revealing clothing, feminists declare that these men are objectifying them. Yet these men are simply responding to how the women around them are dressed. It's naive to expect red-blooded heterosexual men to ignore overly sexed-up women in public. Maybe that's the case in Saudi Arabia, but in secular liberal societies, people have the right to enjoy and appreciate each other's bodies. Men are visual creatures and are naturally attracted to the female form. This doesn't make them pigs or perverts, it makes them men. There's a reason why I'm dressed the way I am in my YouTube videos. I want people to be looking at my face, not on my breasts. Of course, there are some men who do genuinely act like pigs and make inappropriate comments towards women. However, I think it's more empowering for women to tell those men to get lost rather than turn themselves into victims of the patriarchy. Moreover, in England at least, I don't think most men behave this way. I think most men in this society are actually genuinely very respectful of women, and most men are not actually pigs or perverts. Most men don't go around yelling, "Get your tits out" on the street unless they're drunk. It doesn't happen that much in the UK. Many women do genuinely enjoy the attention that comes from being viewed as sexually desirable. Women have every right to flaunt their sexual appeal, and men have every right to enjoy the sexual appeal of women. Although, as I just noted, most men don't go around hollering and hooting at women. It's actually only a small minority of men who behave in this way. Appreciating people's sexual desirability is human nature and is nothing to be ashamed of. For many centuries, England has been a devoutly Christian country, believing that all sex should only be between a married man and woman. Being homosexual, never getting married, and having lots of premarital sex was viewed as sinful. Homosexuality between men only became decriminalised in the UK in 1967. In modern society, these views are no longer mainstream. People are able to do what they want. This is because of classical liberalism, not feminism. Liberal attitudes state that people can do what they want as long as they are not enforcing harm on others. Liberalism is about allowing people to practice their own lifestyles. In a secular society, you can be either religious or non-religious. You can be a feminist or a non-feminist. I would have no issue with feminism if it were kept out of mainstream politics and media lobbying and was instead seen as an alternative lifestyle. But this is not the case. While the feminist movement did encourage women to embrace casual sex, society was already changing due to secular liberal attitudes, as well as the rise of pop culture and rock and roll and jazz, which all had very relaxed attitudes towards sexuality. Cultural shifts are what shape people's social attitudes, and these shifts were initially pro-female and pro-male relations, such as in France, where the idea of femininity and sexuality is integral to feminism. French icons like Catherine Deneuve and Brigitte Bardot criticized aspects of the Me Too movement. They understood that men and women are different and that policing both men and women's sexuality is backwards, not progressive. Iceland is described as the most feminist country in the world, yet a few years ago it banned strip clubs. This is not a sexually liberal attitude in my book. Likewise, in Scandinavian countries, prostitution is largely decriminalized, yet men who purchase prostitutes are arrested. Women are allowed to offer their service, yet men are not allowed to buy. This is unfair to both women and men, as the women are losing out financially and the men are being penalized for their baser instincts. This is not sex positive, it's authoritarian and evident of the hypocrisy of mainstream feminism. Feminism should be lobbying for prostitution to be legalized on the grounds of sexual freedom and protection of prostitutes by the state. Prostitution being illegal is as bad as abortion being illegal. Prostitution and abortion being illegal harms women more than if they're legal, as if they're legal, the women have state protection. Once again, I am aware that plenty of individual feminists do support prostitution legislation. As always, I'm criticizing the mainstream feminist movement, not individual liberal-minded feminists. In 2018, 4 ring girls took to Good Morning Britain to speak out against militant feminists who lobbied for a ban on boxing ring girls. These 4 intelligent and glamorous women said that they enjoyed their jobs and that it wasn't right for feminist groups to try and control their life choices. It harkens back to 1968 when the National Organization for Women protested against the Miss America beauty pageant, describing these pageants as sexist and demeaning to women, rather than as an empowering celebration of femininity. If women want to participate in beauty pageants, wear skimpy tight clothing, be housewives and stay-at-home mothers, have lots of casual sex, have no sex, be page 3 girls, it doesn't demean them or reduce their value. It's a personal choice. If women want to work at Hooters and get paid for having their breasts on display, they have every right to. A secular liberal capitalist society means that anyone can freely make money doing whatever they want. What gives feminists the right to tell other women how to dress, act, or earn a living? Obviously, if a woman is being genuinely coerced into unwanted sexual acts, such as forced prostitution or underage sex, that is awful. But this is usually due to individual bad behaviour, not because of the system, at least not in the UK. When we make everything a systemic issue when it doesn't need to be, we take away personal choice and responsibility. Moreover, these people are not the majority. The vast majority of men would rather protect than harm a woman. As I asserted earlier, most men do already generally respect women. Most men are not physically violent towards women, especially not husbands. Feminism spreads false rape statistics as a form of scaremongering. The vast majority of men are not racist. The vast majority of men are not rapists. They are not physically abusive towards other women. It's a minority of men who behave like this. While rape and domestic violence are serious, horrible things that no one deserves to go through, they are perpetuated by a minority of people in society, especially in the UK, which is one of the safest countries in the world for women. In my opinion, true sexual liberation means owning your sexuality and using it however you wish. It's about choosing how much or how little clothing you want to wear, how and when you want sex, whether you want to have sex with men, women, or both. I believe that an asexual person can be sexually liberated because true liberation is about realizing one's personal limits and desires. Liberation, liberty, and liberalism owe nothing to feminism. But what do you think? Does feminism have anything to do with sexual liberation? Do let me know your thoughts on this below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do consider joining my Facebook group, Liberals Against Feminism, for people who have liberal-minded views but don't agree with feminism.